observations, common sense, and experience. The court will try to reconcile any conflicts in the evidence, but if the court cannot, the court accepts the evidence it finds more believable. In determining the facts, the court may have to decide what testimony to believe. The court may believe all, part, or none of any witness's testimony. In determining what testimony to believe, the court considers the reasonableness and consistency of the testimony with other evidence, and internally, whether a witness has made inconsistent statements, as well as the witness's appearance, conduct, age, intelligence, memory, knowledge of the facts, interest in the trial, motive, candor, bias, and prejudice. The burden is on the state to prove the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is one that fairly and naturally arises from the evidence in the case, or from the lack or failure of the evidence produced by the state. If the court, after a full and fair consideration of the evidence, is firmly convinced of the defendant's guilt, then there is no reasonable doubt and the defendant should be found guilty. But if after a full and fair consideration of all the evidence in the case, or from the lack or failure of the evidence produced by the state, the court is not firmly convinced of the defendant's guilt, then there is reasonable doubt and the defendant should be found not guilty. Reasonable doubt the defendant was the last person seen with Breasia. He had taken custody of her, had no authority to do so, and removed her from the apartment from which he had authority to care for her, with the specific intent to inflict a serious injury upon her, knowing that he did not have the consent or authority of Breasia or her mother to do so. And as a result of that removal, Breasia suffered death, which is clearly a serious injury. The court finds beyond a reasonable doubt that Breasia was shot by the defendant and that she died as a result of being shot. And the defendant did this act with malice aforethought, and the defendant acted willfully, deliberately, and premeditatedly with all the specific intent to kill Breasia.
Anyway, thank you for tuning in to my channel, but y'all seen that, and I want to say this because I didn't hear none of the family say this. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Because he seen through all the bull. He seen through all the bull, y'all. That man intentionally did something to that little girl. I knew he did. When I started watching that case, I knew. I said, that man did something to that little girl. Because the little girl was spending the night with him and his girlfriend. And then she just disappeared in the middle of the night. And then he running in and running out and doing all this other stuff. He did something to that little girl. I knew it. And thank you, God. Thank you, Judge. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you, God, for touching the judge and letting the judge see through all the BS. Because they didn't have, DNA as far as if he sexually abused her or, stuff like that. Stuff that's very important because he had done used bleached and, cleaned up a lot of stuff, So he did have a good lawyer, though. His lawyer was good, though, But at the same time, it was just like, man, let the judge see through all this. I know it's a bunch of circumstantial, but like the judge said, circumstantial and common sense. Common sense. What a lot of people don't have. Because the other day I was watching the Judge Mathis show and they had a story, of why they were there or whatever. But both of the two people could agree that when CPS got involved with them because their little girl had got hurt, the babysitter who had a video, I guess she was maybe filming the kids or something. So she had a video of when the little girl got hurt. And she showed all of that to CPS. She stepped in for the parents like, this didn't happen, on purpose. You know, this was something that happened in an accident with kids playing. You know, stuff that happens with kids. And needless to say, the CPS people took them people kids for 6 months, and it was like at the end of the year of 6 months. So they missed Thanksgiving together, Christmas together. You know what I'm saying? All because the CPS worker didn't use common sense, even though the little girl told two different stories. But kids will be kids. So the first time the little girl said, I forgot what the little girl said. Then the second time she, said what happened. But, they didn't use common sense. You got a video showing when the little girl got hurt. You got the video. You got the babysitter who had the kids when the little girl got hurt. The parents wasn't even at home. The parents was at work. And the babysitter, stepped in and told her side. The parents were at work, and they had the video and they showed it, and they still took them people kids, y'all. That was not common sense. And Judge Mathis said that. Common sense. And when that judge said that, when he was reading that verdict, common sense tell us that you did something to that little girl. Henry, I forgot what this other YouTuber called him, I think Ham Hock. Henry Ham Hock Jenkins. But yes, y'all, the judge found him guilty, and I'm glad about it. Thank you, God, for touching that judge and having the judge have that common sense and wherewithal to know you are guilty of murder. You are guilty of kidnapping. You are guilty. Now, look, we ain't got the sentence yet, so we don't know, what his sentence is going to be. But, yeah, the judge was for real. And I'm glad about it, because you did something to that little girl. And, y'all check out the videos of the trial and stuff. It's crazy. I might try to, put everything together on my channel and then kind of give y'all a little rundown, pieces of the trial and then the verdict. And then, this right here where I'm kind of breaking it down. But, yeah, thank you, God. Thank you, Judge. Because I wanted to hear the family yell that, when after the judge, after he read his verdict, of course you can say something. They start clapping and all that, but thank God. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, God. That's what they should have been yelling, because I'm a little upset with them too. This man ain't had no dealings with these kids in all these years. And then he show up and you let the kid go with him. And not only your kid that he ain't had no dealings with, the sister that ain't even his kid. I get it, moms. We need breaks and all that. But sometimes you got to use common sense. If you been taking care of your kids all this time and he ain't showed up, nah, my baby ain't going with you. You got to work your way into this. You got to get to know us here at my house. Yeah, you can come and chill with your kids, and we can meet at the park or meet at the zoo and do activities until I feel comfortable with letting you go with my children, especially when you ain't had no relationship. And then Breasia wasn't even his daughter. So why is Breasia going? And you ain't got no relationship with your son. You don't have no relationship with Breasia. Why is Breasia going? So I was upset at the mama and the grandmama about that. But, they already done took a loss, a horrible loss. So I don't want to be hard on them. But, I'm just voicing my opinion on what I, thought about that, because that kind of shook me up. I didn't really like that. Like, why would you let them go with him? Y'all said yourself y'all don't have no relationship with him. Y'all barely see him. Only time you see him is if he get a new car or something like that. Y'all said that. So why would you let these kids go with him to spend the night? For what? And then Breasia, she ain't his. No, you can't go. He should have been working his way into them kids spending the night at his house. Not off the rippity rob. Your kids or your prized possession. At least mine's are. Shoot. No, he would have been having to meet at the zoo, the park, coming by the house, spending an hour or two, till I felt comfortable that, yeah, I see he want to do right. He want to, be a part of the kid's life. But Briasia wouldn't have went. Not the first night. No. Not my baby girl. What's she going for? It ain't her daddy. Now once we get a relationship and I meet the girlfriend and all that, then yeah, she can go. It's crazy, y'all. But I'm glad that they found him guilty. I'm glad about that. But thank y'all for tuning into my channel. Henry, they found him guilty. The judge found him guilty. He didn't want them 12 people to judge him. He wanted the judge to do it. Yeah, we want the judge to do it. Yeah. Gave him right what he was asking for, too. All right. Like my channel. Bye.